thinking we're gonna get rid of these people, right? But they try to use ruse. That's the other thing. The Haitians really knew how to use ruse, right? They would do all kinds of things like keep changing their clothes and going around to make as if they had more people than they had, stuff like that. Or, you know, the Europeans loved, you know, sleeping with black women or whatever. They never thought that these black women would go back and tell the African warriors what was going on. They used everything that was in their hands.
Napoleon's campaign against the Haitians, it was a racial agenda. Napoleon specifically stated that he did not want a black republic. We cannot have a black republic. This thing was completely racial.
French writers, a lot of French writers were like, there must be some white person behind this. It's the abolitionists' fault. It's this person's fault. It's those guys who stirred up something else. There was this constant blaming of so-called white agitators.
Dessalines, Toussaint, they didn't kill every white person on the island. That's a misconception. We were in war, and we were slaves. And within this slave, we had to fight for our independence. And in this process, you still had certain whites that were with the Haitians.
And so they create this model constitution, but they apply it to the circumstance of Haiti. So they say, no plantations can exist. No white folks can own land. But they realize that all white folks are not the same, and so they have a special compensation for Polish white folks who joined their revolution and helped them to defeat the French.
At the end of the war, once the victory against France had happened, what Dessalines said to them, that because of the horrific genocide you've meted out against my people, you've got to go. You can't stay. He accepted their surrender. 7,000 of them surrendered and was pulled out of the country and went back home. The officers under Rochambeau and the others, who he got a ship for them, fully equipped the ship, and let them go home free. But his request was, all of you go home, okay? Can't stay here. The only people that can stay is the Italians and the Polish who fought with us, and the Germans who did not lift any arms against us.
After trying everything and couldn't get off the island, so then he had to come in front of Dessalines. And according to his own journal, he said, Dessalines was magnanimous. He complimented him. He said, you're a good soldier, even if you've lost. Normally they're supposed to give their sword to the winner. He says, no, keep your sword, you're a good soldier. I don't need your sword, I got my own. And so he's, you know, what are you going to do to me, you know? He says, nothing. I'm gonna send you back to France. And your task will be to let them know never to set foot on this island again.
What's really significant about this, Salim, is that Rochambeau told everybody, I'm gonna get that Negro, I'm going to do all kinds of heinous things to him. But when we won, when the Haitians won at Vertières on November 18th, 1803, he didn't kill Rochambeau. He let him go. And I think that's really significant.
And even those who got on the ship and went out with Rochambeau, you know what they did as soon as they got found out at sea? They turned the cannons on Port-au-Prince and opened fire on the very people that had just given them their freedom. But as fate would have it, they ran into some conflict with the British fleet a few days, 8 days out, and he ended up spending 2 years in a British prison, or longer.
Dessalines obviously did kill a lot of white folks, especially the French, right? I think there was like 50,000 soldiers that came to re-enslave us, and 7,000 left alive.
And this is really interesting, the way that European imagery of black people came back to haunt them. These big black guys from Africa who've been laboring for you for decades and decades and decades, whose physical brute power and force you've depended on in terms of breeding them and all this. And now they got a machete in their hand. That brute force, that same imagery, sexualized graphic imagery you've created around the black body has come back to haunt you because now it's aimed at you.
Modern historians, when they talk about Napoleon, they talk about how thorough he was as a general. They talk about his great military mind. the strategies he used, they just ooze and gush and praise Napoleon for being the greatest general. And the thing about Napoleon was defeated by Dessalines. So if your greatest general was defeated by Dessalines, that means Dessalines is the greatest general.
Marcus Mosiah Garvey spoke frequently on the Haitian Revolution and the lessons that we could learn from them. And the one lesson is, it ain't over till we win. The Irritated Genie, a book that I read, phenomenal book by Dr. Jacob Carruthers. It's called The Irritated Genie. That irritated genie is the spirit of revolution at all costs. Take no prisoners. We have no friends. It's up to us to make this happen. Then you have the Phantom of Liberty. The Phantom of Liberty is the philosophy that you believe that you can negotiate with your enemy, that you can integrate with your enemy, that your enemy wants to be your friend, if you could just sit down and talk. And Dessalines was more of an irritated genie.
What's most fascinating about Dessalines, and probably the most under-discussed part of Dessalines' leadership, is that Dessalines attempted, long before the birth of Karl Marx, forms of proto-socialism, if you like, when he governed the island. So he attempted to nationalize all of the land that was formerly owned by the French, which was 75% of the arable land in the country, and spread it amongst the peasants. He was on record as saying, listen, we didn't win this war, i.e. we, the privileged leadership, we won the war. All of us, the peasant population, the enslaved population. And he tried to bring about some form of economic justice in the brief period that he governed. And in my view, and in lots of people's view, that was why he was killed by the other free people of color.
On January 1st, 1804, he declared Haiti independence. And the first sentence of our first constitution says, Haiti is independent from all powers of the universe.
Haiti liberated 5 South American nations, from Venezuela, Colombia, all the way down. We liberated also the entire island, right? The Dominican Republic didn't exist.
Not only did Haiti get their own freedom, and this is what was so dangerous to the white supremacists, Haiti helped other Latin American nations get rid of slavery. Like Ecuador, it stopped slavery in Ecuador. They helped them get rid of slavery. They helped Venezuela get rid of slavery. They helped the Dominican Republic get rid of slavery. So that was a big fear of all the other Western powers, that this nation of African warriors were stopping slavery all over the hemisphere. So this is why even today they have to subjugate Haiti.
When Miranda came from Ecuador, he was trying to come out of slavery. And he had lots of problems. US was giving him trouble. He came here. Dessalines welcomed him. He had people wounded with him. We healed them, gave them boat, money, weapons, and sent them back to continue their work. When he asked Dessalines, but how will I repay you? He says, every time you free people out of slavery, I am repaid.
The leading hero of Venezuela, Simón Bolívar, of course, received direct assistance from the Haitian revolutionaries. And of course, once again, this illustrates the debt we owe to Haiti, because part of the bargain was that the South American revolutionaries would move to abolish slavery. Sometimes that promise was kept, sometimes that promise was not kept, but that was the bargain that the Haitians tried to strike.
Years immediately after the revolution start to scare the white world, and they don't know what to do with Haiti. Because they're like, if this infection spreads and it's proven that, black people might actually be capable of government, what happens to all of the other former slave colonies in which blacks are the majority? What happens in Brazil? What happens in Jamaica and elsewhere? So a decision was made by most governments, like America, for example, not to recognize Haiti until they eventually abolished slavery themselves.
So 60 years, Haiti was not allowed to have a merchant marine to trade. And if you're a nation and you can't trade, you are impoverished.
During the aftermath of the Haitian Revolution after 1804, there was a lot of sabotage by the mulatto class, because the only thing that's worse that a white supremacist is a wannabe white supremacist. And the wannabe white supremacists are the worst because they're fighting for something that they really can't be. So they'll sabotage anything for a fantasy, and that's what they did after the Haitian Revolution.
It's obvious that the Catholic Church and the French conspired to kill Dessalines with probably the help of the Americans and the British. And so Dessalines was assassinated. He went to meet someone, no one knew who this was. They cut his body up, I was told, into 13 or 14 pieces and scattered around the island. But that's where the women come in. Again, his wife Felicite, Cecilia, and other women got together and gathered up all those pieces, put that body back together in the manner that it was done to Osiris and the myth in ancient Kemet, and they buried him.
Napoleon was so powerful that he intended to take over the 13 states. He sent 2 units, one to the Louisiana Territory and one to Haiti. His intention was to attack the United States and take over. But because he had to use the units he had put into Louisiana to Haiti, when Haiti became independent, remember that trade had stopped because of the Haitian Revolution.
Then Christophe took over the northern part of Haiti, while Pétion took over the southern part of Haiti. Pétion set up a sort of a republic. Christophe made himself king, or was elected king over the northern area. It is Christophe that built this extraordinary citadel, the largest such edifice in the Western Hemisphere. No one has done anything like this.
But if you look at the citadel in Haiti, or Sanssouci, or any of the other military governmental fortifications built in the time, and you imagine this as a society run and governed by people who were slaves into the middle of their adult life.
A citadel, a huge structure, the largest structure in the Americas, ready to house over 20,000 people. This is conceived by Dessalines and executed by Henry Christophe, who became king down the road. He built it in 11 years. No help from the World Bank, no FMI, no Friends of Haiti, nobody. Self-resources from A to Z.
Is this big castle that's built on one of the highest mountains in Haiti, armed forces, cannons that are aimed at the ocean. And the idea of this was, we're not sure if the French is coming back. So we have to make sure that we know the waters, we know how they're coming, we know where they're gonna come from.
Haiti was making her own money. We made our own under Christophe. We made our own gold and silver coins. Better yet, we did it so well. Colombia, Venezuela, several other countries in South America asked us to make their money for them. Yes, we were minting.
You know, you had a major rebellion down in Louisiana in 1811. That was shortly after thousands of enslaved Haitians had been brought to Louisiana, because many of the white Frenchmen who didn't go back to France, over 10,000 of them fled to New Orleans. And they took with them the enslaved Africans that they had control over. And many of those slave Africans then led what was the biggest rebellion in the history of the United States.
The white slave masters flee in Haiti, French ones. A lot of them go to French Louisiana, and they strengthen the slave regime in the South. They make slavery even more bedrock of Southern American culture. Remember, these are people who've seen what Black Revolution looks like in Haiti, and it was brutal. How are you gonna get free of slavery without brutality? So they make the South of America a more concentratedly racist place.
Absolutely no one recognized Haiti's independence. That was number one. And though everybody was talking about freedom, liberty, democracy, everyone has the right to be happy. Oh, but not us.
I don't think they expected that the revolution would have had that kind of massive victory. And once it happened, the fear was, if we recognize, this was Thomas Jefferson who's in office at the time, if we recognize Haiti as a free republic, then what are we gonna do about all of the enslaved Africans in North America? So we have to reject it and now go into an economic boycott of it, similar to what they did to Cuba in modern times.
That's their stuff, right? They have this either or. Either I'm gonna be it, I can't be it if you're it. See, African thought says everybody can be it. But the European mindset is that I can only be it if you are not it.
What happened to Haiti, though, was the tax that the French put on it, the reparation tax. So that's sort of like, so okay, we'll give you independence, but now this is gonna cost you, right? So we'll give it to you, but we'll pull your economic freedom from you.
And there were all kinds of economic exploitations that have been put onto Haiti since the pigs from America were put into Haiti to overtake their Haitian pig farming. Foreign grain was imported into Haiti. Sweatshops have been set up. I mean, there are reams and reams of books for people who are bothered that can go out and read on why Haiti is in the condition that it's in today. And it's largely due, partly, to a local parasitic, greedy elite, but mostly due to foreign exploitation. Without that foreign exploitation, the elite would not be in the position to be able to do the things that they have been and currently are still doing in Haiti.
So this also put a big fear in America's heart that Haiti had the ability, right after that revolution, to send troops to South America to help free those South American nations from Spain. Then they were worried about the African American nation here, especially when you had a large population of Africans in Florida that was still under the control of Spain. Florida was the biggest maroon community in the Western Hemisphere, but we don't refer to Florida as a maroon community because American history has falsely said that the people they were fighting were a group of Indians called Seminoles, and don't tell you that that word they corrupt to be Seminoles come from the Spanish word of Cimarron, which means runaways. And so these are the runaway Africans. And so when Andrew Jackson was sent down there after he did the Mexican-American War to fight these people, he sent a letter back to Congress, and in the letter he says, "You sent me to fight Indians, but I've been fighting niggers from the day I got here." You know, and this is a letter that's still in the Library of Congress.
DuSable, this brother was the founder of Chicago, and he was a brother of Haitian descent. Brother spoke different languages, so he was the first person to understand the strategic location of Chicago and how that can be used, because in Chicago, he could speak so many different languages. He could deal with the Spanish in the West, he could deal with the French in the South, he could deal with the English on the East, he could deal with the Native Americans in the North. So that was a very strategic place, and he was the first person to go there and monetize that area. And what's interesting about DuSable, many people thought that he was a spy for Haiti because many people were shook about what happened during the Haitian Revolution. An African slave population rising up and overthrowing their oppressor, that sent chills all through white society.
The Haitian leadership in the 1820s had to make a decision. Should they go into debt and possibly deform the revolutionary process for decades to come by paying the government of Paris for the alleged losses suffered by slave owners, or should they not make the payment and run the risk of being invaded and having all of the citizenry enslaved? Those were the stark choices faced by the leadership, and they chose the former. That is to say, to make this payment.
I think it's like 1825, Charles X sent the fleet to invade the islands and retake it. And the compromise was, you pay us 100 million francs, 150 million francs, which was reduced some years later to 93 million francs. And that's how that came about. And they said, you're paying us this for the land that you've taken from us, from the enslaved Africans who was working for us that you've taken from us, and the resources the land was producing for the French Republic. And so that's where that 150, which wasn't paid off until very recently, which kept the Haitian economy in a tither for the entire period of its history.
So we are a country that is being continually raped at every level, every time. If it's not an occupation, and anytime you see an occupation, you can be sure they do not occupy a country that has nothing.
I see a lot of similarities between Haiti and Detroit, because Detroit was the land of some of the most phenomenal movements of black people ever in the world. Marcus Garvey had a strong movement in Detroit. The Honorable Noble Drew Ali developed the strongest contingent and temple in Detroit. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad was a student of Marcus Garvey and Noble Drew Ali in Detroit. Malcolm X moved to Detroit to be close to Elijah Muhammad. And then, of course, you have the Motown sound. You have the voice of black people worldwide. And I think that what's happening in Detroit is very much like that. At all costs, Detroit must be purged of its power.
The Marines came in and they were responsible for the death of close to 4,000 to 5,000 Haitian citizens. And the occupation lasted something like 20 years. And when they came in, what they did was seize control of all of the finances, all of the banks, and all the wealth of Haiti. And the money, Haiti's monies from his bank and his wealth was brought to America and transferred down to banks in New York. That wealth had never been returned to Haiti.
The first time the Citadel is attacked is during the U.S. occupation of Haiti in 1915. The U.S. Army stood up every day for 90 days and shoot at it while there's nobody in it.
But even then, America was fully now vested and in control of the Haitian economy. And during that occupation of the American Marines, they rewrote the Haitian Constitution. Until then, part of Dessalines' Constitution was that no land could be sold or owned by any foreign persons. Land could only be owned by Haitians of blood. Even a Haitian who had left home could no longer own land. And so what America did was change the Constitution so that Americans could buy land, and they began to buy up or seize some of the best farmland and mining lands in Haiti, and that's still true to today.
The mountains that Christopher Columbus didn't have the technology to take the gold out of, they've got the technology to do now, and they are taking that out. They say we have 20 billion in gold.
And now Haiti is important because of its geographical location and its geology. There's oil and gas in abundance off of Haiti's shore. And so one of the reasons for the Clinton Foundations and these others to saturate Haiti is there's gold in them, there are hills, and there is oil off of those shores and beaches. And so Haiti is now under a new form of exploitation, which we are calling globalism.
The Clintons were put over, and their people who worked with and for their foundation, was put over managing the billions of dollars that came into Haiti for the rebuilding process. Well, they managed it back into their foundations and their bank accounts.
For the last 13 years in Haiti, the UN has been the cover for the Bushes and the Clintons to work together and extract the resources that we have. Haiti has $120 billion worth of oil.
The International Red Cross claims that they have received from people around the world $6 billion for the quake situation in 2010. Haiti never saw. We did not see 6 billion, we did not see 5 billion, we did not see 4 billion, we did not see 3, 2, or 1 billion. But somebody got the money.
The money is still controlled by the European. The education is still controlled. The institutional political structure is still controlled. And the spiritual structure is still controlled. That you have Africans in the French-speaking areas today who are readily prepared to say, je suis français, I'm French. And so that cultural dynamic of assimilation into French culture has helped cripple Africans.
Haiti is corrupted because 80% of a population, man, is living on less than $1 a day. It's corrupted because the lack of education. This is why this place is corrupted.
If you go to almost any store downtown and you get buy yourself a new suit, look inside and see where it was made. That suit was made in Haiti. Probably for, you're paying maybe $200, it was probably made for $25. The guy who made the suit may have made $1. Okay? And so, and part of that arrangement and contract that made, you can't unionize, you can't strike, and you can't ask for an increase in wage. Any of those can result in you losing your job or even going to jail.
Different times in our history, you will find that Haiti is forward in everything. In creating the OAU, the Haitians were the #1 people in doing all the papers and working, and when the US was not in it, they refused to be part of it. And when we were a couple of weeks away from the grand opening, US stepped in with money, bought itself in, and demanded that Haiti be not part of it.
Because Wycliffe had put together a foundation that was being contributed to, and that money could not be controlled by them. That was one of the reasons, and the other reasons, they had already picked someone they wanted to put in the presidency that they can control, and they could not control the Wycliffe John.
If I was a politician, I would have been the president of Haiti. But the fact that I didn't go through the proper lobbying, the proper, you got to do a deal with this person, you got to make sure you get the blessing from this person, from that person, none of that happened. So it was almost like Wyclef Jean was a wild card. And a wild card is not accepted.
Which is very interesting because you have so many nonprofit organizations that rape Haiti that are white-run organizations, and they never talk about that corruption, but all of a sudden it's Wyclef and Yele, they're the most corrupt thing ever.
The intimidation factor of whatever anyone was trying, it did not work, you know? And if I'm sitting here and I was to tell you that, you know, I wasn't armed up, I would be lying to you. Because at the end of the day, I was in a position where I was ready to do whatever I had to do as a Haitian citizen to make sure that the power went to the right person that wasn't gonna oppress the people.
There's a book called Confessions of an Economic Hitman, and the author talks about how the white supremacist Western powers will put black leaders, puppet leaders, into certain positions to do the bidding of Western powers. And when these African leaders stop doing the bidding for Western powers, they're usually assassinated. It's a white guy who wrote this book. And our brother Wyclef, big music star, the media loved him. The minute Wyclef wanted to run for president of Haiti, he's a man of the people, not corrupt, doesn't need the money. I mean, he's a very successful artist already, but he wants to do something for his people because he's from those people. The minute he wanted to run for president of Haiti, all of a sudden the media turned on Wyclef. They started putting negative stories out about our brother. They started talking about his Yele Foundation, talking about corruption.
Like Yele Haiti was a patsy and a distraction for a lot of what really went down in Haiti. While everyone was trying to make Yele Haiti look like there was this big organization, you know, with the big celebrity face, like, you know, because when you hear the Red Cross, there's no face that go with it. All you see is Red Cross. You know what I mean? Like, so when you hear Wyclef, yo, that's the Yele Haiti, that's the face.
And the minute Wyclef got back into the music game and just focused on music, everything was good again. So the whole Wyclef slander thing was to show him, don't step out of your place. And I don't believe any of the negative stories that they said about Wyclef. It was all propaganda, and it was propaganda for a reason, and we have to stop believing the white supremacists when they're trying to give us negative information on people within our communities.
Yele Haiti was a patsy for a bigger play, because now that you rarely hear anyone say anything about Yele. The minute Clef goes back and starts to play guitar, does his music, and hits the billboard again, it's almost like, okay, nigga, you back in your place. This is what you're supposed to be doing, nigga. Don't forget, you're supposed to be singing. You're supposed to be making people dance. And when it comes to this thing in politics, or trying to be careful how you gonna move, right? But what don't kill you, right? It only make you stronger.
Jamaica's right next to Haiti. There were a lot of rebel leaders from Jamaica, like Bookman. He was a rebel leader in Haiti who was from Jamaica. So that spirit of revolution has always been interchangeable between the Haitians and the Jamaicans. So Garvey was definitely influenced by the Haitian Revolution and Dessalines. When you look at pictures of Marcus Garvey, many people will suggest that he's dressed like Dessalines. And Marcus Garvey has influenced so many movements that are modern now. He influenced the Nation of Islam. He influenced the Moorish Science Temple. He influenced Malcolm X. Malcolm X's father was a Garveyite. Ho Chi Minh, the leader of Vietnam, was a Garveyite. He studied at the feet of Marcus Garvey when Ho Chi Minh was in Harlem. And this is why Vietnam was able to use that spirit of revolution to fight off the European powers and remain independent on their own. They got that spirit through Garvey, who got that spirit through Dessalines, who got that spirit through the Haitian Revolution.
When you're in the vanguard, that means oftentimes you're the first to get the arrows in your chest. You're the first to be wounded and the first to bleed profusely. And that's the case for the Haitian revolutionary process. That is to say that they in some ways were sacrificial lambs for the rest of us. That is to say, by going up against the slave owners and inflicting this deadly blow on the slave system, they helped to liberate the rest of us. But in turn, they helped to injure themselves.
Whatever our ancestors did is only the best for them. What they expect from us is to add our victories to their victories and to keep going up higher and higher.
You cannot rebuild your society until you rebuild yourself. And you cannot rebuild yourself until you restore your spiritual, cultural, and historical integrity to the mindset that is about to carry out this building.
The month of August is very instrumental to melanated people. There's something about the month of August that electrifies our melanin, that gives us a certain sense of power. If you look at a lot of significant revolutions, they all happened in August. The Haitian Revolution happened in August. Jamaica got its independence in August. Look at modern times. The Watts riots was in August. Let's get even more modern. The Ferguson uprising was in August. I think Garvey's birthday is in August. So there's a lot of significant things that happen in the month of August as it relates to melanated people. And the Haitian Revolution was one of those things.
So we Haitians need a new movement. This movement is, how do you get Haitians in Haiti into economic freedom? How do you get them into education?
Why do you think the slavers go through so much effort for you not to know your history? Evidently, because that's where all your references are. That's what gives you the measure as to what you can do.
But every place we see success in the African world, it was when Africans stood up and said, I'm going to be free and African. And so we did learn from Haiti, what were those moments when we were struggling to be free and African.
Many of the Western powers are still trying to sabotage Haiti to this very day. Recently, the UN had to apologize for putting cholera in the water over there. People are sending plastic rice over there to the people. They're sending plastic chicken. They're sabotaging the economy. And the fact that they have to make such a collaborative effort to sabotage this small island of African people, that just shows the innate power that the Haitians have.
The French Revolution was incredibly brutal, yet it's treated with respect in historiography as producing ideas that were influential for humanity. The Chinese Revolution, the Russian Revolution, similar, all treated with respect. The Haitian Revolution, until very recently, I would argue the tide is changing, has been treated like some, just niggas in the Caribbean rebelling, when actually it's arguably the greatest challenge to the dominant global order, as I can't remember which scholar said that, in the entire last 200 years.
It's about capturing the light